On a warship filled with noise, she was invisible. Just another sailor moving crates. But when a hidden medal slipped from her pocket, the Admiral froze. Who was this quiet woman? And what secret past had she buried beneath the steel decks of the carrier? The sea was never silent. Waves struck the steel hull, engines hummed, and jets tore through the sky above the carrier. To most, it was chaos. To her, it was music. She walked the deck with a steady pace, her boots echoing on the steel floor. Nothing about her stood out. The uniform she wore was the same as everyone else's. The job she did was heavy but plain. She loaded crates, checked tags, and followed routines that never ended. Other sailors joked, complained, or told wild stories to pass the time. She didn't. She worked quietly, spoke politely, and faded into the background. She was known as the quiet one in the Amo Bay. Dependable, yes. Strong, yes. But ordinary. Or so they thought. When storms rolled in, and others grumbled about long shifts, she kept moving. When crates weighed twice as much as her frame suggested she could lift, she carried them without asking for help. People noticed. Some called her tough. Some called her disciplined. Officers said she was more focused than most men twice her rank. But she never accepted their praise. Praise was dangerous. Praise could draw eyes, and she wanted no eyes on her. At night, when the ship quieted and stars glittered over black waves, she sat alone on the deck. The air smelled of salt and steel. She told herself she was at peace. Yet memories always found her. Fire screams, smoke so thick it choked the lungs. And in her pocket, the hidden reminder she swore never to show. The first day she boarded the carrier, she promised herself she would live as though her life began here. No medals, no recognition, no past. Just work, silence, and service. Every dawn she rose before others. Every blanket she folded was tight as a drum. Every crate she stacked was measured twice. She convinced herself this was enough. She wasn't flying jets or giving orders. She was only keeping the system alive. And maybe, if she stayed quiet enough, she could keep the past buried. But the sea had a way of pulling secrets to the surface. And no matter how deep she tried to bury hers, she could not hide it forever. The Amo Bay was her world. It smelled of oil, steel, and sweat. Crates lined the walls like towers, stamped with codes that meant little to most, but everything to her. She moved among them with steady rhythm, checking each tag, lifting each box, stacking them with care. It was not glorious work. No sailor dreamed of joining the Navy to spend hours bent over clipboards or lugging shells heavier than their own body weight. But to her, it was peace. The repetition built walls inside her mind, keeping the memories locked away. One misstep here could cost lives above. A crate mislabeled, a count forgotten, a box not secured. Any of these could ripple into disaster. And so she gave her full attention. When others cut corners, saying, "It's just a box," she refused. For her, no task was small. No detail was unimportant. Her shipmates noticed. "Does she ever take a break?" they whispered. "She outlasts the engines," another joked. But behind their laughter was respect. She never faltered. She never slowed. If others collapsed at the end of long shifts, she pressed on. Still, she wasn't invisible. Ramirez, a petty officer, had worked beside her long enough to notice details others ignored. He saw how she always volunteered for the late shifts, how she carried more weight than most, how she never complained. "You're not normal, you know," he said one evening as they loaded flares into storage. She raised an eyebrow. "Define normal." "Normal is cursing about the heat. Normal is whining about ours." He shook his head, grinning. "You just keep moving." She gave the faintest smile. "Some things are easier when you stop talking and start working." "You're a machine," he said. But machines didn't bleed. Machines didn't dream. She knew that well. Later that night, lying in her bunk, she stared at the ceiling while snores filled the quarters. Around her, sailors dreamt of home, of families, of shore leave. She dreamt of fire. Always fire. The truth was never far. She had once dragged boaties through rubble. She had once heard screams that silence could not erase. And in her pocket was the medal she could not bear to wear. No one here knew. And that was the way she wanted it. But silence doesn't last forever. On a ship where every sound carried, every detail noticed, nothing stayed hidden for long. The carrier never slept. At dawn, jets thundered across the deck. By night, the ship glowed with harsh white light, rocking to the rhythm of endless waves. The ammo bay, her sanctuary, never quieted either. She was used to the grind. Each crate lifted was another thought pushed aside. Each box counted was another scream silenced. Still, people noticed her. Supervisors wrote her name in reports. New sailors were told, "Watch her if you want to learn." But she never sought it. She ate her meals fast, spoke little, and slipped away when others lingered over coffee. One day, a drill alarm blared through the ship. Red lights flashed, simulating an explosion. Sailors panicked. Some stumbled, others froze, but she didn't. She moved without hesitation, guiding two younger sailors to the exit, her voice steady as steel. It was instinct, the same instinct that had once pulled men from burning rubble. Later, Ramirez caught her in the corridor. "How did you stay so calm? Most of us nearly jumped out of our skins." She shrugged. "I've seen worse." He frowned. "Worse than this ship blowing up." She didn't answer. She walked away, leaving him with silence. But silence has its weight, and the past pressed harder each day. The news spread like wind. The Admiral was coming aboard. Inspections were not simple visits, they were tests of discipline. Every boot had to shine. Every salute had to snap sharp. Crew members polished, scrubbed, and straightened. Even the mess hall felt tense, as though the Admiral might inspect the way trays were stacked. But in the ammo bay, she worked the same as always. While others rushed, she moved steadily. Lift set, marked the checklist. No change, no panic. The Admiral arrived with quiet gravity. His gaze swept every corner. He was a man forged by decades at sea. Nothing escaped his eyes. And then, he saw her. She wasn't rushing to impress, nor stiff with nerves. She lifted, stacked, recorded, calm, precise. To anyone else, she seemed ordinary. To him, she was not. He had seen this posture before, in men and women who had survived chaos and carried scars in silence. He lingered longer than necessary. Officers shifted uneasily, unsure why he stared, but he did not move. His eyes locked on her. She felt it instantly. Instinct prickled her skin. She straightened but did not falter. She met his gaze only for a heartbeat. Recognition glimmered there, a dangerous recognition. That night, she sat alone on the deck, waves glittering under starlight. She whispered to the sea, "Why me? Why now?" The sea gave no answer, but she knew. Her silence had been seen. The Admiral returned. He was not satisfied with silence. She was lifting a crate when fate betrayed her. A scrape against her uniform, a glint of silver. A ribbon slipped loose, shining faintly before she caught it, but not fast enough. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. He had seen medals before, thousands of them, but never hidden like this. "Hold there, sailor." His voice cut across the bay. She froze. The crate balanced on her hip. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Slowly, she lowered the weight, straightening, with practiced calm. "Yes, sir." His eyes stayed sharp. "What's that you're carrying in your pocket?" The bay fell silent. Every sailor turned. Whispers rippled. She tried to mask her fear. "Sir, that medal, why isn't it worn, as regulation requires?" Her throat tightened. Years of hiding undone in a single moment. She could lie, pretend it wasn't hers, but his eyes left no room for deceit, so she drew a breath. "Permission to explain, sir." The Admiral nodded. "Granted." Her fingers trembled as she pulled the ribbon free. The metal gleamed under the lights, not Navy issue, not familiar, but unmistakable in its weight. Whispers grew louder. No one had ever seen her with a metal dot. Her voice was low. "It wasn't earned here. It was awarded before I joined." The Admiral's gaze sharpened. "Explained." And the silence broke open. It was 3 years ago, she began. Her words carried across the bay, steady though her hands shook. "I wasn't in uniform then. I was a civilian medic with an aid group overseas. We patched wounds, delivered supplies, treated soldiers and civilians. We were supposed to stay behind the lines, but wars don't respect lines." The sailors leaned closer. One night, fighting broke out. Mortar fell. Fire spread. Our compound became a battlefield in minutes. People screamed. Soldiers, families, children, everyone. She paused, her grip tightening on the ribbon. "I should have run. We all should have. But I couldn't. Not while people were trapped inside." Her voice trembled but did not stop. "I went back once, twice. I lost count. I carried men twice my size, dragged them through fire, patched wounds with bare hands when supplies ran out. Some lived, Too many didn't. Her eyes hardened. When it was over, they gave me this, a piece of metal, as if it could balance the weight of those I couldn't save. Silence crushed the room. Every sailor stared. No laughter, no whispers, just awe. The Admiral stepped closer. Why hide it? She swallowed. Because I didn't join to be remembered. Metals don't lift crates. Metals don't keep ships running. I came here to serve, not to be a hero. Her words struck like steel. And in that moment, the quiet sailor was no longer ordinary. She was something else entirely.